Last year on the channel, we discussed a lot of strategic games, long form games that would last 45 minutes to an hour and a half, where you had to outmaneuver your opponents tactically. And that was the only way you could achieve victory. Today, we're going to be looking at something that still has a little bit of a tactical edge, but is a little bit lighter on the gameplay and the mechanics. This is a fun game where you're kind of adding up numbers and going one-on-one with your opponent. The game we're talking about is Shotten Totten, the game where it's kill or be kilt. Okay, so the mechanics behind Shotten Totten are relatively simple. It's all about playing cards to try to achieve different types of card combinations. So this is your player aid card. Each player has one, and you can see the order that things break out into. It's from least valuable up to most valuable. So least value is sum. Next one is run. Next one is just the matching colors, no order. Then three of a kind. Then a color run, which is a combination of a run and the color. So it's in the correct order and it's of the same color. I have a couple of scenarios lined up in front of us right here, so you can kind of see, and I can let you know which ones win in each scenario. So something like this one right here. This is a three of a kind versus a color run. So in this scenario, the three of the kind is not going to trump the color run, and this stone would go to this player. Now, in the scenario where this card hasn't been played yet, and it's still up in the air, this stone doesn't move until this card is played. If this card is played by this player, say down here somewhere, this stone would then automatically go to the player that had the three of a kind, because there's no way for this player to win. If this card is in this player's hand, this card is not considered in play, so the stone doesn't move until the player plays it. So let's just say this goes here and this stone moves this way. In this scenario, we see two different color arrangements. In this scenario, you have 5, 4, and 2 of this color, which is a specific total, and then you have this one, which is 9, 7, and 6, which is another total. So in this one, you would just add up the combinations of the cards, and it would go to the more valuable color arrangement. In this scenario, you have cards that haven't been played yet. You have 2 incomplete color runs. This now just becomes a race to who can complete the color run first. So say this player right here gets his color run first. He plays it down. Even if this player was able to complete it or would complete it afterwards, this player still wins because it's the same arrangement, same color run, and they're able to get it down first. This scenario right here, we can see a color arrangement and we can see a sum arrangement. In this one, this is a significantly higher arrangement. It's 9, 8, 9. It's actually the highest arrangement you can get without making it a 3 of a kind, because obviously this could be a 9, that would make it a 3 of a kind. But this side is a lot less valuable, but it's a color arrangement, which makes it more valuable than the sum, regardless of the total. So in that scenario, this player would have already won because they got 3 in a row. But let's just continue walking through the scenarios. In this arrangement, you have, again, a very valuable sum total here. And this side would be a sum total if it wasn't in order. So 6, 5, 4 makes it a run, not a color run, but a run. And this one is just the sum. Even though it's significantly more valuable, this player, again, would take this stone. And that's pretty much the principle behind the game. It's not particularly complicated. It's all about like playing the right cards at the right times, making sure you know when to hold on to the cards in your hand and wait to potentially play on a run later, and kind of just being aware of which cards have already been played and which ones are still in the deck that you could potentially draw. The only variation that you can play with the game is these cards right here, which are tactic cards. And the tactic cards are able to change the board. Like you can move cards from your opponent's side to your side, or move it from one spot on your opponent's side of the board to another spot, or one spot on your side of the board to another spot. You also have ones like this is a Joker, which is like a wild card. You can choose how strong it is and what color it is. And you have other ones that allow you to change just the color but not the strength. So in this one, you have, it's automatically a 7, but you can change the color based on when you win the stone. And in this one, it has to be a 1, 2, or 3, but you can kind of choose the color. This one kind of alternates your win conditions. You have a card in here that makes you play 4 cards on each side of the stone to determine a victory instead of just the 3 cards. So this can add a lot of variability, and based on when these come out and whether you're playing with them or not, that adds a lot of replayability to the game that you normally wouldn't have. So that's kind of the mechanics behind the game, and I'll see you up top and I'll talk about my final thoughts. So now that you know how to play this game, let's talk a little bit about my pros and cons. My pros for this game is it comes in a small, nice box, easy to get everything into the box, and that's a great way for you to be able to bring this to kind of all different types of events and have different types of people kind of play it. It's really easy to understand and explain to people, and there's nothing like fiddly about the components or anything. That's always a plus in my book because I can bring it to like work parties, I can bring it to relatives' houses, I can bring it to friends' houses, and we'd all be able to get fun out of it. Another pro is that it's quick. It takes 15 to 20 minutes. And even for somebody who doesn't really know how to play the game, like a first or second playthrough, it's still 15 to 20 minutes. It never really gets more than that. If you add in the tactic cards, it adds a little bit of extra, but not very much. In terms of cons, it's not really a strategic game. It's not a game that is going to kind of make you think beyond the immediate sense. But I do kind of like the fact that it's all up to you whether or not you play your cards right. You can never really know what's going to come out. There's that luck factor with it where the next card could be the card that you need, but you have to play a card. You have to play a card somewhere, and you can't just save cards in your hand for the perfect opportune moment to play them. You kind of have to keep playing cards and hope that you're going the right directions. And the hardest thing is when you play a card down and you go one direction, you decide you want to go for 3 of a kind because you've been waiting for that run. You've been waiting for that color run you've been waiting for. And then that immediate card that you've been waiting for finally comes out, and you've kind of just like thrown your whole strategy out the window, and you have to readjust on the fly. And for such a quick game, for it to have that kind of mechanic to it, I really like that. Get you thinking in the moment, but not like long drawn out strategy. So it's definitely a game that I would recommend from one of my favorite game publishers. And if you want to pick up a copy, check out the link in the description. We're going to have it available for you there. It's no extra cost to you, and it really helps out the channel. If you like what you see in the channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want to see everything that I post in the future. And I'll catch you in the next episode.